Number 18. A helicopter is flying from downtown Dallas to downtown Fort Worth. The distance between the two cities is 32 miles, as shown here. If the angle of depression from the helicopter to Dallas is 45 degrees. Now, angle of depression means from looking horizontally out and then down. That's what depression means. So this angle is going this way. And the angle of depression to Fort Worth is 35. So we're looking out and then we go down 35 degrees. Approximately how far is the helicopter from downtown Dallas? This is what we're searching for here. So to solve this, we first need to identify what type of triangle we have here. If it's a right triangle, we can use psi y, cos x, tangent is y over x. This is not a right triangle. Nowhere are we told that they're a right angle. And if I add these two angles up, 45 plus 35 equals 80 degrees. Now, why does that matter? If that's 80 degrees, that means the angle in between them to make form a straight line has to be 100 degrees. And I'm getting that because 45 plus 35 equals 80. And then when you take away from 180, that's how I got 100. So now that I know this is 100 degrees, I know this is not a right triangle, so I cannot use psi y, cos x, tangent is y over x. So I have to either use the law of sines or law of cosines, both of which are on our formula chart here at the top, right here. Here's the law of sines, here's the law of cosines. Now, how do you know which one to use? Well, law of sines you use when you have a completed set. And a set would mean the angle and the side across from it. I have a completed set here. I have this angle of 100 and the side length across from it, which is 32 miles. So I can use the law of sines. So if I use the law of sines, that means I'm going to take this formula here, which is sine A over, means the angle, sine of angle A over side length A equals any of the other side lengths. So I'm going to say that, let me just write out the formula here. Sine A over A is going to equal, and if we called this A and this A, we'll call this B, and we'll call this B over here. And so we'll say that's equal to sine of angle B over side length B. So let's plug in our values. If I want A, I've said is going to be 100 degrees, angle A, and the side length A is 32 miles, I would set this equal to sine B, which we don't know what this angle is yet, but we can easily find out if this is 45 degrees and this angle, or this line, is parallel to this line. From geometry, we learned that a transversal will be any line that cuts the two or connects the two. Alternate interior angles are always true. So 45 degrees is also here, that would be 45. And this 35 would also go here, because again, we have two parallel lines with a transversal touching them. So alternate interior angles are congruent. So now I know that angle B is 35 degrees. And all I'm missing is side length B, so I'll put a B there. Now we can in-solve this if you wanted to in the calculator. What I'll do here, though, is use what a lot of people call butterfly method, or maybe cross-multiply and divide. I call it cross-multiply and divide. That means I multiply across, so I'd have 32 sine of 35 degrees will equal B times sine of 100. And to solve for B, all I need to do is divide out the sine away from the B. So I'm going to do that. It'll cancel there, but if I divide on the right, I must also divide on the left. So I can go to my calculator and type in 32 sine of 35 divided by 100. So 32 sine of 35 degrees, and don't forget the degree button down here with pi. And then all this is going to be over sine of 100. And again, I'm going to put the degree symbol. Now to make sure, no matter what calculator mode I'm in, which I'm in degrees, it would work either way. But no matter what mode your calculator's in, this will give you the right answer. I press enter, I get 18.63 miles. So B equals 18.63 miles. And so let's look down here. It looks like the correct answer is going to be F. And now, if you wanted to use insolve, let me walk you through how you do that. From this part here, so the insolve, I'm going to go type this part in. That was in red before we did any of the actual math calculations. So to do that, you'd go menu, 3 for algebra, and numerical solve is 1, and then you would type in the equations exactly as they appeared. We had sine of 100 whoops, forgot the parentheses, sine of 100 degrees over 32 was equal to the sine of 35 degrees over b. And after you type this in, you have to do comma and then tell the calculator which letter we're solving for. We're solving for b. And again, we get the same answer. So we did do it correctly.